I shouldn't have been there at all. The casting notice had been a mistake. Wrong email list, wrong department, wrong everything. But when you're 3 months behind on rent in Los Angeles and your roommate just emptied your shared bank account before disappearing to Vegas, you don't question miracles. You show up. The building on Wilshire Boulevard didn't look like the modest production offices I was used to. This was glass and steel and money, the kind of place where dreams were made or destroyed before lunch. I clutched my worn portfolio and tried not to look at my reflection in the polished marble floors. My dress was 2 years old. My shoes had a scuff I'd colored in with Sharpie. "Mara Chen?" The assistant's voice was crisp, efficient. "Mr. Hawthorne will see you now." My stomach dropped. Hawthorne, as in Marcus Hawthorne, as in the Marcus Hawthorne who'd produced 7 Best Picture nominees in the last decade, as in the man whose last 3 films had grossed over $1 billion combined. I'd prepared for a junior casting director, maybe a production assistant, not Hollywood royalty. The office was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. And there he was, standing with his back to me, phone pressed to his ear, shoulders tense beneath an expensive charcoal suit. "I don't care what the board says, Michael. We're not cutting the 3rd act, that's non-negotiable." His voice was rough velvet, the kind that made you lean in closer. "Then they can pull their funding. I'll finance it myself." He ended the call and turned around. I forgot how to breathe. Marcus Hawthorne wasn't just handsome. He was carved from something harder than stone. 44 years old, according to industry rumors, with silver threading through dark hair, sharp cheekbones, and eyes the color of winter storms, there was something fierce about him, something barely contained. Those eyes locked onto mine, and I felt stripped bare. "You're not Mara Chen," he said flatly. My heart seized. Yes, I am. I have my ID. "The Mara Chen we were expecting is a stunt coordinator from New Zealand." He moved closer, and I caught the scent of cedar and something darker, something that made my pulse race. "So I'll ask again. Who are you, and how did you get into this building?" "I got an email," I stammered, fumbling for my phone. "It said you were casting for a new project and—" "Show me." His hand brushed mine as he took my phone, and electricity shot up my arm. I watched his expression shift from irritation to confusion to something I couldn't name. "This is an internal casting email. How did you get on this list?" "I don't know, I needed the work and it came through and I thought maybe finally something was going right." I hated how my voice cracked. Hated that I was standing in front of Marcus Hawthorne, one of the most powerful men in Hollywood, looking desperate and lost and so stupidly hopeful. He studied me for a long moment, and I felt like he could see everything. The eviction notice in my purse, the empty refrigerator, the crushing weight of failure that had been pressing down on me for 2 years. "What's your real name?" Mara Bennett." The email wasn't a complete lie. My middle name is Chen. My mom was Chinese American. Was? She died when I was 19. Car accident. I didn't know why I was telling him this. I came to LA to be an actress. That was her dream for me. But turns out dreams don't pay rent. Something flickered across his face. Recognition, maybe. Understanding. "How old are you?" 24. Jesus. He turned away, running a hand through his hair. "You need to leave. This was a mistake. My assistant will validate your parking." Humiliation burned through me, hot and familiar. Of course this was how it would end. Another door closing, another opportunity slipping away. "Wait," I said, and the desperation in my voice made me want to disappear. "Please, just let me audition. Whatever the role is, I'll do it. I'm a good actress. I just need someone to give me a chance." "You don't even know what the film is about." "I don't care. I'll play anything. A corpse. A tree. I just need this." He turned back to me, and there was something new in his expression. Something almost like pain. It's a drama about a woman who loses everything and has to rebuild herself from nothing. The lead is supposed to be older, more experienced. You're too young, too innocent? The word tasted bitter. "I'm not as innocent as you think." "That's exactly the problem." His voice dropped lower, intimate in a way that made my skin prickle. "I can't cast someone who reminds me—" He stopped himself. This isn't appropriate. You need to go. At least let me read. One scene. If I'm terrible, I'll leave and never bother you again. I don't know what made him agree. Maybe it was the steel he heard beneath my desperation. Maybe it was something else entirely. Fine. One scene. He pulled a script from his desk and flipped to a page. Here. The protagonist confronts the man who destroyed her life. I didn't look at the words. I didn't need to. I understood this character in my bones. The anger, the betrayal, the refusal to stay broken. I began to read, and the world fell away. When I finished, the silence was deafening. Marcus was staring at me like he'd seen a ghost, his knuckles white where he gripped the edge of his desk. Where did you train? His voice was hoarse. Nowhere. Community college for a semester before I ran out of money. That's impossible. No one acts like that without training. Maybe I've just had a lot of practice pretending everything's fine when it's not. The words hung between us, heavy with truth. I'm going to do something incredibly stupid, he said finally. I'm going to give you a screen test. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. If you're late, the offer disappears. I couldn't speak, could barely nod. There's something you should know, Mara. He moved closer, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. This film is personal. It's based on someone I loved and lost. And you... His jaw clenched. You look exactly like her. My breath caught. Is that why you're giving me this chance? No. His gaze burned into mine. I'm giving you this chance because you're talented and desperate, and I know what that combination can create. But I'm warning you now, this is dangerous. For both of us. I don't understand. You will. He stepped back, and the distance felt like loss. My assistant will send you the details. Don't be late. I left his office in a daze, my mind spinning. I had a screen test, with Marcus Hawthorne, for a lead role. I should have felt elated. Instead, I felt like I'd just stepped onto a precipice, and the only way forward was to jump. I had no idea that by tomorrow, my entire life would be irreversibly changed, and that Marcus Hawthorne's carefully controlled world was about to shatter completely. The screen test changed everything. I showed up at dawn to the soundstage in Burbank, wearing the only professional outfit I owned and carrying coffee I couldn't afford. Marcus was already there, standing behind the monitor with his arms crossed, watching the crew set up lights. He looked exhausted, shadows beneath his eyes like he hadn't slept. You came, he said when he saw me, and I couldn't tell if he was relieved or disappointed. Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you might be smarter than this. The test itself was brutal. 3 hours of emotional scenes, each one digging deeper into raw places I usually kept locked away. Marcus directed with surgical precision, pushing me further with every take. Never satisfied, never cruel, but demanding something I didn't know I had to give. Again, he'd say. Show me what it feels like to want something so badly you'd destroy yourself for it. I did. Over and over, until my voice was raw and tears weren't acting anymore. When it was over, I collapsed in my chair, wrung out and shaking. Marcus dismissed the crew and walked over to me, holding out a bottle of water. You're hired, he said quietly. Pending contract negotiations. I stared at him. Just like that? Just like that. He crouched down so we were eye level, and the intimacy of the gesture made my heart race. You understand this character in a way I've never seen. It's like watching... He stopped, looked away. We start filming in 2 weeks. My lawyer will contact you. Marcus. His name felt dangerous on my tongue. Thank you. You have no idea what this means. I have some idea. His eyes met mine, and there was something haunted in them. Mara, I need you to understand something. This film is going to ask everything from you. Emotionally, physically, it's going to tear you apart. And He stood abruptly. I can't promise I'll be able to protect you from it. I don't need protection. I need this chance. Everyone says that, until they're in the middle of it. The next 2 weeks were a blur of contracts, costume fittings, and rehearsals. I moved out of my apartment, or rather, got evicted and moved into a modest hotel that production paid for. Everything was happening so fast, I could barely process it. But the strangest part was Marcus himself. He was different when we worked together. Focused, brilliant, pushing me to places I'd never reached as an actor. But there was always a distance, a carefully maintained wall between us. He never touched me unless the scene demanded it. Never met me for coffee or dinner like he did with other cast members. It was like he was rationing our time together, afraid of something I couldn't name. Until the night I found him in the empty rehearsal space at midnight. I'd left my script behind and came back to get it. The building should have been locked, but a side door was propped open. I followed the sound of music, something classical and mournful, to the main rehearsal room. Marcus was there, sitting on the floor with his back against the wall, a bottle of whiskey beside him. He looked up when I entered, and the devastation in his face stopped me cold. "You shouldn't be here," he said, but didn't move. "Neither should you." I sat down next to him, close enough that our shoulders almost touched. "What's wrong?" "Today's date, it's..." He took a drink straight from the bottle. 7 years ago today, I lost someone, the person this film is about. The woman I look like. Elena. Her name was Elena. He said it like a prayer, like pain. She was an actress, brilliant, fearless, 23 years old. I was 37, producing my first major film, and she auditioned for a small role, just like you did. My chest tightened. What happened? I fell in love with her. The confession was raw, unguarded. I knew I shouldn't. I knew I was too old, too jaded, that I'd ruin her somehow. But she looked at me like I was something more than just money and connections, like she saw who I actually was. "You cast her?" I gave her the lead, and she was magnificent. The film was nominated for Best Picture. She was nominated for Best Actress. We were going to get married after the award ceremony. His voice broke. She never made it to the ceremony. The room felt like it was closing in. Marcus. Overdose, prescription pills, and alcohol. The pressure got to her, the scrutiny, the fame, the critics tearing her apart. I didn't see it. I was so focused on the film, on our success, that I didn't see her falling apart. He finally looked at me, and his eyes were destroyed. She left a note. It said she was sorry, that she wasn't strong enough for my world. That wasn't your fault. Wasn't it? He laughed, hollow and bitter. I'm the one who pulled her into this life. I'm the one who put her on that stage. And when you walked into my office looking exactly like her, desperate for the same chance I gave her, he pressed his palms against his eyes. I should have sent you away, but I couldn't, because you have the same fire she had, the same hunger, and I thought maybe this time I could do it right. I could tell her story and not destroy the person telling it. I reached for his hand without thinking, lacing my fingers through his. His grip tightened immediately, desperately. "I'm not Elena," I said softly. "I'm not going to break." That's what she said too. "Marcus, look at me." I waited until he did. I know what it's like to lose someone, to carry that guilt, but you can't protect me by keeping me at arm's length. If we're going to do this, if we're going to make this film, I need you to trust that I'm strong enough. You're 24 years old. And I've survived things that should have broken me. Stop treating me like I'm fragile. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, maybe? Respect. You're nothing like her, he said quietly. Elena was fire and chaos. You're steel wrapped in softness. You bend, but you don't break. Then let me prove it. He studied me for a long moment, and then did something that changed everything. He lifted our joined hands and pressed his lips to my knuckles, a gesture so tender it made my throat ache. This is dangerous, Mara. What I feel when I'm around you, it's not just about the film anymore. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear my own voice. What do you feel? Like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, and the only way forward is to jump. His thumb traced circles on the back of my hand. Like you're the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me. I'm terrified too, I whispered. But I'm not running. He pulled me closer and I went, curling into his side as his arm wrapped around my shoulders. We sat like that for hours, not speaking, just breathing together in the dark. When I finally fell asleep against his chest, I felt safer than I had in years. But when I woke up at dawn, he was gone. And on the floor where he'd been sitting was a note in his handwriting. This can't happen. Forgive me. The next 2 days, Marcus avoided me completely. He sent his assistant director to run rehearsals, communicated only through email, refused to take my calls. It was like that night had never happened. On the 3rd day, I'd had enough. I showed up at his office unannounced, walked past his protesting assistant, and slammed his door behind me. Marcus looked up from his desk, startled. Mara! Don't. I crossed my arms. Don't Mara me. Don't shut me out because you're scared. You don't understand what you're asking for. Then explain it to me. Tell me why you're running. Because I can't do this again. He stood abruptly, fury and anguish warring on his face. I can't fall in love with another young actress and watch her get destroyed by this industry. I won't survive it a second time. The confession hung between us, explosive. You're in love with me? My voice was barely a whisper. His laugh was broken. From the moment you walked into my office looking like salvation and damnation wrapped in a thrift store dress. And it's destroying me, Mara, because I know how this ends. No, you don't. I moved closer, refusing to let him retreat. You're not the same man you were 7 years ago. I'm not Elena, and you can't let fear dictate your entire life. I'm trying to protect you. I don't want protection. I want honesty. I want... The words caught in my throat. I want you, Marcus. Not as a director or a producer or some kind of mentor. As a man. He closed his eyes like I'd wounded him. You're 24. Stop using my age as a weapon. I'm an adult making an adult choice. The power dynamic is only a problem if you abuse it. And I don't think you will. I reached for his hand, and after a moment's hesitation, he let me take it. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you, if you want me to. Want you? His voice was ragged. Mara, I'm consumed by you. Every scene we rehearse, every moment you're near me, it takes everything I have not to... He pulled me close suddenly, cupping my face with both hands. This is madness. Then let's be mad together. He kissed me like a man drowning, like I was air and salvation and home. I melted into him, wrapping my arms around his neck, feeling 7 years of grief and guilt and loneliness pouring out of him. When we finally broke apart, we were both shaking. If we do this, he said, his forehead resting against mine, we do it right. No secrets, no running. And if it ever becomes too much, if the industry or the pressure or anything threatens you, you tell me immediately. I promise. I'm serious, Mara. Elena hid her pain from me until it was too late. I can't... His voice broke. I can't lose you too. You won't. I kissed him softly. I'm not going anywhere. But even as I said it, I could feel the shadows gathering. Because Marcus was right about one thing. Loving someone in Hollywood was dangerous. And we were about to discover just how dangerous it could be. Production began, and with it came the storm. The first week of filming was heaven. Marcus and I found a rhythm on set that felt like dancing, every scene pushing me further as an actor, every break stolen moments where our eyes would meet across the chaos and something electric would pass between us. We kept our relationship private. His lawyers had been clear. Any hint of impropriety could tank the film, especially given our age difference and his position. So we were careful. Professional on set. Secret everywhere else. But secrets have a way of rotting from the inside out. It started with whispers, crew members noticing how Marcus looked at me, entertainment reporters asking pointed questions during press visits, his production company's board expressing concerns about his judgment. Then came the tabloid photos. Someone had followed us to his Malibu house and captured pictures of us on his private beach at sunset, wrapped in each other's arms. The headlines were vicious. Hawthorne's new obsession. Is he repeating the past? Elena 2.0, producer's dangerous pattern. 20-year age gap raises questions. I watched Marcus read the articles on his phone, watched his face shudder, and knew exactly what he was thinking. Don't, I said. Don't let them get in your head. They're calling me a predator, Mara. They're saying I groom young actresses. That's bullshit, and you know it. Do I? He set his phone down carefully. Maybe they're right. Maybe I do have a pattern. Maybe I'm so fucked up from losing Elena that I'm trying to recreate her through you. The words were like a slap. Is that what you think this is? Some kind of replacement? I don't know anymore. He wouldn't look at me. All I know is that every day on this set I'm terrified. Terrified you'll break under the pressure. Terrified I'm pushing you too hard. Terrified that history is repeating and I'm too blind to see it. Marcus, the board wants me to step down as director. They've offered to let me stay on as producer, but they want someone else to take over. My blood ran cold. What did you tell them? I told them to go to hell. But Mara... Finally, he looked at me, and the devastation in his eyes nearly broke me. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm too close to this. Too close to you. Don't you dare. I moved into his space, forcing him to see me. Don't you dare let them win. We've worked too hard, come too far. This film is everything to both of us. What if it costs you everything? Then that's my choice to make. The argument escalated, both of us raw and exhausted. It ended with Marcus walking out of his own house, leaving me alone with my fear. For 3 days, he communicated only through his assistant director. Professional, distant, cold. I threw myself into the work, channeling every ounce of heartbreak into my performance. The crew whispered that I was giving the performance of a lifetime. All I knew was that I was bleeding on camera and calling it art. On the 4th day, everything fell apart. We were filming the climactic scene, my character confronting the man who'd destroyed her life, choosing forgiveness over vengeance. It required me to cry, to rage, to break open and show every raw edge. Marcus was behind the monitor, calling out directions, but his voice was wrong, tight, strained. Cut, he called after the 5th take. Mara, you're not connecting. I need you to go deeper. I'm trying. Try harder. This is the soul of the film. If you can't give me truth here, we have nothing. Something in me snapped. You want truth? Fine. Let's talk about truth, Marcus. Let's talk about how you pushed me away the second things got difficult. How you're so terrified of losing me that you won't even let yourself love me. How you're directing this film about choosing love over fear while doing the exact opposite in your own life. The set went silent. Marcus's face was pale. That's not fair, he said quietly. Isn't it? Tears were streaming down my face now, real and uncontrolled. You told me not to run. You told me to trust you. And the first time we face real opposition, you shut me out. I was trying to protect you. I don't need protection. I need you to fight for us. Mara, no. You don't get to Mara me right now. My voice broke. I love you. I'm in love with you. And I'm not Elena. I'm not going to break. But if you can't see that, if you can't trust that I'm strong enough for this, then maybe they're right. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. I walked off set, ignoring the assistant director's calls, ignoring everything except the need to get away. I made it to my trailer before collapsing, sobs tearing through me. I'd ruined everything. Destroyed the film, destroyed us, destroyed the only good thing that had happened to me in years. The door opened and Marcus was there. He didn't speak, just pulled me into his arms and held me while I fell apart. I'm sorry, he whispered into my hair. God, Mara, I'm so sorry. You're right, about all of it. I've been so afraid of losing you that I forgot how to love you. I don't want to be another tragedy in your story, I said against his chest. I want to be the woman who stays, who fights, who proves that love is stronger than fear. You already are. He pulled back to cut my face, thumbs wiping away tears. You're the bravest person I've ever met, and I've been a coward. What are we going to do? The board, the press, Fuck the board, fuck the press, Fuck anyone who thinks they have a say in how we love each other. His eyes blazed with something fierce and determined. I'm going to finish this film. I'm going to tell Elena's story the way it deserves to be told. And then I'm going to stand in front of every camera and reporter and tell them exactly who you are to me. Marcus, your career means nothing without you. Don't you understand? You're not my redemption, Mara. You're my future. And I'm done hiding that. He kissed me then, deep and claiming, and I felt something shift between us. No more fear, no more shadows. Just us, choosing each other despite the cost. The next day, Marcus called a press conference. I watched from the wings as he stood in front of dozens of cameras and reporters, his shoulders straight, his voice steady. I'm Marcus Hawthorne, and I'm here to set the record straight. Yes, I'm in a relationship with my lead actress, Mara Bennett. Yes, there's an age difference. And yes, I understand why that concerns people, given my history. But I want to be clear, Mara is not Elena. She's not a replacement or a second chance or a pattern. She's a brilliant, strong, extraordinary woman who makes me want to be better. And I love her. The room erupted with questions, but Marcus held up a hand. 7 years ago, I lost someone I loved to this industry's cruelty. I've spent every day since trying to prevent that from happening again. But in doing so, I almost made the same mistake. I tried to control the narrative instead of trusting the person I love to write her own story. Mara doesn't need me to protect her. She needs me to stand beside her. So that's what I'm doing. He looked directly at the camera. This film is about a woman finding her strength after devastation. It's about choosing love over fear, hope over despair. And I'm honored to have found an actress who embodies those themes in every possible way. Whatever you write about us, whatever assumptions you make, know this: Mara Bennett is going to be a star. And it has nothing to do with me and everything to do with her talent, her resilience, and her courage. When he walked off stage, I was waiting. He pulled me close and I felt the tremors running through him. That was terrifying, he admitted. You were incredible. I meant every word. I know. I kissed him softly. Now let's go finish our film. The final weeks of production were intense but joyful. With the secret out, we could finally be ourselves. Marcus directing with passion, me acting without holding back, both of us creating something that felt true and vital. The wrap party was held at Marcus's Malibu house, the same place we'd been photographed months earlier. This time, we didn't hide. His arm stayed around my waist all night. When people congratulated us, we thanked them together. As the sun set over the ocean, Marcus pulled me away from the crowd to the private beach. I have something for you, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. My heart stopped. Marcus, it's not what you think. Not yet. He opened the box to reveal a delicate gold necklace with a single pendant, a small, perfect star. Elena wore something similar in her first film, but this one is yours. Because you're not following in her footsteps, Mara. You're creating your own constellation. I let him fasten it around my neck, tears streaming down my face. I love you, I whispered. I love you so much, it terrifies me sometimes. Good. He grinned, and it was the first genuine smile I'd seen from him in weeks. Because I plan on terrifying you for a very long time. Starting with this. He dropped to one knee. I said it wasn't what you thought, and I lied. Because the moment I stopped being afraid, I realized I wanted everything with you. Every morning, every argument, every moment of joy and terror and ordinary life. Mara Bennett, will you marry me? I pulled him to his feet and kissed him hard, laughing and crying at once. Yes. God, yes. Behind us, the party guests had noticed and started cheering. Marcus spun me around, both of us giddy and breathless, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Hope. Home. The film premiered 6 months later to standing ovations and critical acclaim. I was nominated for Best Actress. Marcus was nominated for Best Director. At the ceremony, I wore a vintage gown and the star necklace, and when they called my name as the winner, Marcus was the first person on his feet. In my acceptance speech, I thanked him last. To Marcus Hawthorne, Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible, for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself, for teaching me that the bravest thing we can do is choose love, even when it scares us. This is for you, and for Elena, and for everyone who's ever felt like they had to choose between their dreams and their heart. You don't. I'm living proof. Backstage, he kissed me breathless, trophy and all. Mrs. Hawthorne to be, he murmured against my lips. How does it feel to be a star? I looked at him, this complicated, brilliant, damaged man who'd risked everything to love me, and smiled. Like I'm finally exactly where I'm supposed to be. We married that summer in a small ceremony on the same Malibu beach where he'd proposed. No press, no cameras, just us, choosing each other, writing our own story. And when I looked at Marcus standing at the altar, silver hair glinting in the sunset, eyes full of love and wonder, I knew Elena would have approved. Because this wasn't her story anymore. It was ours. And we were just getting started. If this story stayed with you, don't let it end here. Subscribe for more emotionally addictive, slow-burn romance stories. Comment and tell me which moment touched you the most. I read every single one. Share this story with someone who believes love can heal even after loss. Your support keeps these stories alive.